Hey everybody, my name is Nathan, and you're watching a video on the Nathan Galang YouTube channel. Recently I went to the Creator Clash, and it was a great time. I've been wanting to make a video related to the Creator Clash for a while. In the lead up to the event, I wanted to make a video called Training for the Creator Clash. Where I would exercise and diet more and hopefully lose some weight in the build up to the fight. I didn't do that. But when I was in Tampa, I wanted to make a video called Creator Clash Predictions, and I started doing that, and I didn't finish. And then I was going to make a video essentially saying what I said to all these different YouTubers, because hey, you know, a bunch of YouTubers in the title or whatever, it's a pretty good topic to talk about. I'm sure that would get people interested, but I did it and it was way too long because I met a lot of people, you know, in no particular order, and this is not a list to the fullest extent. I met the man himself, iDubbbz. I met Dr. Mike. I met Michael Reeves. I met some people like that weren't even fighting, like Jax Films. I met Justin Minks, and very memorably, I met Dad, or Nathan Barnett, who's very nice. He even went as far to get me a burger from the VIP section, because the hotel we were staying at was where a lot of the fighters were staying at, and where the weigh-in and press conference were, and including the post weigh-in after party, which I was not allowed to enter. A lot of people were hanging out just outside the entrance, and that's where I actually met a ton of these YouTubers. Yeah, Dad got me a burger from the VIP section, so that was really nice of him, so shouts out to him. But I want to make this video essentially discussing why I think the Creator Clash has the potential to change what we see as influencer boxing or YouTuber boxing. In the lead up to the event, they had a clear emphasis on not wanting fake beef. We've seen a lot of this in the other influencer boxing events, where you got 20-something-year-olds betting their homes, or hey, if you win, I'm gonna give you an extra $1,000,000 that I do not have, so on and so forth. You had Austin McBroom literally lose his house because I guess he had to pay off debts related to the event. Overall, absolutely ridiculous things. They don't want that. But that doesn't mean that it was just going to be a nice little event where friends get together and pretend like they punch each other or punch each other really lightly. No, absolutely not. They didn't just leave the fighters empty-handed. They paid $20,000 per fighter so that they can pay for expenses that they might have lost with not posting on YouTube as often. They could pay for things like trainers. They could pay for things like travel expenses. They didn't just leave the fighters in the dark, essentially. So they wanted to prepare the fighters. And not only that, we saw the results. We saw at the event some real fights. Most of the fights ended with TKO victories. There was a lot of blood spilled. People like Ryan from Super Mega had a fractured nose. I saw him coming to the hotel at some point really late in the AMs, and his nose was large. It had things inside of it. He was in the hospital for a long time, apparently. There was real fighting. Turns out you don't need fake beef to actually be willing to beat someone up. And not only was it just, you know, Ryan's fight, Ryan and Alex, that was a good one, but you had multiple, what I could only describe as essentially the end fight from Rocky 1 multiple times over, okay? You had Ryan and Alex, of course. You had AB and Hundar, even the main event, iDubbbz versus Dr. Mike, where, you know, Ryan didn't necessarily win. AB and Hundar fought super hard and gained the respect of each other. iDubbbz didn't even win, and he was, you know, the main star of the event. But at the end of the day, the people were still happy. The people were still satisfied. They still got a show. And every fighter, even when they were losing, even if they lost, showed a lot of courage and warrior spirit or something. They really showed themselves to be willing and ready to fight. And that's something you don't always see in the other events. I mean, compare it to the other events. You can see it in Alex Wasabi versus Deji, or the Social Gloves event. In Wasabi versus Deji, you had Alex that was willing and ready to fight. He trained hard. And then you had Deji, who already had 2 fights, had technically years of boxing experience, a few years, but years nonetheless. And he refused to fight. He was running, he was dodging, he wasn't throwing anything. It was unbelievably boring if you watched the Alex Wasabi versus Deji fight. And frankly, I don't blame Alex. I put all the blame on Deji. I can't imagine being in the live audience that watched that fight and saw that. Like, you paid money for that. That's horrible, and that's a horrible way to treat your fans. But you didn't get that with this event. You didn't get the stuff you saw at Social Gloves, where you had like weak ass shit with things like the standing 8 count. I get it. These guys are amateurs. They're not professional boxers. You want to protect them. But it made for such a boring show. I mean, at the end of the day, all these people that were participating in that event were wealthy, had all the resources in the world they needed to train. I think it was all guys fighting. There was all these muscular grown men that couldn't handle getting punched 2 or 3 clean shots in a row. They had to have the referee step in and either wave off the fight or treat it like a knockdown. And again, imagine being in the live audience and paying for that. That wasn't a creator clash. That was different. And if your perception of influencer boxing was formed watching Deji versus Alex Wasabi, where Alex Wasabi was fighting but Deji was running, or the Social Gloves where these pretty boys were getting hit with 2 or 3 shots and then the fight was getting called off, you are not going to be getting that if you watched the creator clash. And that, I think, frankly, that changes your perception of what influencer boxing could be. On to point 2. I think that the creator clash brings an entirely new audience, not just to influencer boxing, but to the sport of boxing. I know I'm comparing the event to a lot of the other influencer boxing matches, and I'm praising creator clash and so on and so forth. I'm not trying to say that every fighter at the creator clash were pros. They were not. But ultimately, you saw more fighters with passion than any of these other events, man. You don't see this level of passion besides from people like Jake Paul or Logan Paul or Gibb, to their credit, or even Salt Poppy. I believe he was in the undercard for Deji and Wasabi. He fought excellently, and I think he was the best fighter in that card, to be honest. You don't get that level of passion from the majority of the fights under the Social Gloves banner or other influencer boxing fights, but you got that and beyond in the creator clash, in my view. And I think that doesn't only get respect from the fans of these content creators, but also from the boxing community. So I think that adds a certain level of legitimacy that was not there before, in my view. And regarding the boxing community, one of the consistent things I hear is that influencer boxing makes the sport look bad to the general public. Now, honestly, to be fair to the other influencer boxing events, I disagree with that critique. I think that you got these people with millions of views, millions of followers. Ultimately, they are not professionals, but they are bringing some interest to the sport, some interest among their fans and others. And I think that's an overall good thing for the sport. Boxing isn't necessarily this thing where you have to be the most skilled person to be able to make a good show. The biggest boxers came up from nowhere. Most boxers didn't succeed. There were a bunch of random guys that fought, that usually sometimes lost, that sometimes won. They may have not left a big impact, but ultimately this is a sport that's accessible to everybody. So I don't like the gatekeeping nature of that critique. Now, a fair critique, as I've been giving throughout this whole video, is a lot of these people with an opportunity to give a good show, give a really boring show. But I would say that the creator clash has been able to avoid both of those critiques, because the fighters, number one, gave a good show, and number two, gave it in a way that, like I said before, I feel like earns the respect of the boxing community, and also looks good to both the fans of these creators and the general public. And I think that is a unique thing that they were able to achieve in this event. Overall, in conclusion of this video, the summary, I think that the event was great, and one of the biggest things for me was that they were able to prove the haters wrong. Okay, in the build up to the fights, you had dipshit Keemstar fans or dipshit Leafy wannabes all trying to get their opinions out there. They're trying to say, "Oh,
They don't know how to sell fights. They don't know how to promote it. They don't know how to do it. Why are they critiquing the fake beefs? That's what makes boxing good.
no, what makes boxing good is the sweet science, the actual fighting, the action rather than the words, the bite rather than the bark." If you get what I'm saying. Not only did they not need the fake beef to sell the fight, they did not need the fake beef to make good fights happen. And look, I understand the concern. I was a little concerned about it too. These are all seem like nice, chill people. Are they really going to be able to punch each other in the face come Saturday evening? What they proved is that they did not need bark to have bite. Like I was saying earlier, they beat the hell out of each other. They put their heart out in the ring, and anybody with two brain cells functioning, rubbing together, should be able to respect the effort that all of them put into the sport of boxing. And as a fan of the sport, as a fan of YouTube, and as someone that really hasn't been that critical of influencer boxing, even the shows that aren't as good, this blew it out of the water. This set a new standard. Every other event that happens going forward has to be able to try to either be at this level or top the Creator Clash, including Creator Clash 2. Also note that all these amazing fights, the sold out stadium, the 100,000+ pay-per-view buys, all of this was done in the name of charity. That's amazing. Overall, good show, good stuff. I can't wait for Creator Clash 2023. And with that in mind, please like and subscribe to this video and to this channel. Because I want to be able to be big enough to either fight in Creator Clash 2023 or in Creator Clash 2024. So I would greatly appreciate any support I could get. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.